Hey, Greg, it's great to have you on tonight. You want to say a few words before we get started for everybody?
Well, just I want to welcome everyone this evening, and I think they'll get a lot out of this evening. I've worked 35 years in dentistry, and one of the biggest challenge for the dentist is they understand cash flow and patients and all, but building and developing multiple assets and wealth seems to be a big challenge for them. And looking at the diversifying the ways that they build that. And I think this gives them a great opportunity to learn more about how to do so.
Hey, thanks, Greg. And hopefully it'll be interesting to everybody tonight. Hey, welcome, everybody. Tonight we're going to do something a little bit different. You see some very famous national names up here. Dave Ramsey. Many of you dentists have heard of Dr. Ace Gorig, who is a practicing dentist, but also has a financial arm that talks about debt. And then John Commuta is another person that works closely with Dr. Ace on debt management. So tonight what we're going to talk about is how to use the best parts of each strategy. So it'll be kind of interesting, so let's kind of get started. All these guys are national advisors on debt management. Dave Ramsey, as a lot of you know, has Peace University, and he's in churches all over the place. Does a very, very good job of helping people understand that debts are a problem. They have similar methods to eliminating debt. A lot of them are very, very similar to what we teach our dentists. But what we're going to learn today is how to use parts of all the methods. Plus, as important is some of the methods expose you to a lot more risk. And we want to make you aware of that. So as you're planning, you can maybe see some things that aren't going to be quite as good as you would think. Again, down at the bottom, we always want to highlight our website is the dentaldebtrelief.com. There's blogs out there. There's the videos of some of the live webinars we've done out there. There's podcasts out there. There's an awful lot of information that can help you kind of keep on top, get some education, get some information. So let's kind of move through here. So the best way to eliminate, what is the best way to eliminate debt? There is no best way, or there is no only way. You know, Greg and I talk a lot about our process and how that works, and it does work. But you can't expect everyone to have the same strategy, and because everybody has, keyword right there, different motivation to be debt-free. As we always talk about, there's our house of money, and what we want to keep you from having is dollars flying away so you can keep them. So why don't people really embrace the idea of getting out of debt? Some don't believe they have an extra cash flow, so they won't even try. That's where we come in more so than some of the other national advisors, is that we help you find the money. If we can help you find the money to get out of debt, there's actually no reason why in the world you wouldn't want to try to do that. So it's not you looking to go, wow, I don't have any money. It's us trying to help you find it to be able to help. Some, and I'm talking about dentists now, some have extra money, but as we tell all the graduating people, they can either decide to have their current lifestyle and enjoy it a lot and spend their extra money for that, and they're enjoying it too much to change. Once you start and increase that lifestyle, it's very hard to go back. And so having that, your debt management plan set up with part of that increase in pay you're all starting to receive, whether it's just out of school, whether it's that first associateship, whether it's that first buy-in to a practice, starting up your own practice from scratch, it's very, very important when you first get started to understand that cash flow. Some young dentists, they might be young to a practice, they might be a young new partner, are willing to restrict increasing their lifestyle to make debt elimination a priority. A lot of things in life, it's very important to think in terms of the whys we do something. The stronger the why is of you're doing something, the more belief you have in it, the more you're going to work through that and make sure you accomplish it. If you're just doing something for doing something and it's not important to you, that's not a very strong why, and you won't stick with the plan. But when there is a strong why in whatever you're doing, you get a pretty darn good chance of getting it accomplished. Some are willing to reduce lifestyle to a minimum and strive to get out of debt as quickly as possible. Well, these folks are ones that are going to live very austerely and not really spend much of their new money. Question is, which one are you? And a lot of you are probably thinking, well, I don't know, I can see myself in part of each. That's okay. But if you're thinking about it, you're a long way to starting to handle a better way of getting out of debt. Okay, let's look at some of the different strategies. So here's Dave Ramsey, and here's a quote from Dave Ramsey. He says, you start with $1,000 in an emergency fund, and then you throw all your discretionary income into paying off your debts. No savings for retirement, no eating out, no shopping for things you don't absolutely need until you're in the clear, meaning until you're out of debt. Quote from Dave Ramsey. That's, in my opinion, a wow. He's a one-size-fits-all approach. And we'll talk about how that fits in a little bit later. But in our opinion, that's not going to fit many people for very long. It might fit when you first started out because you think, I've got to do that. But what happens when you have a car repair, a medical expense, a house repair, a reduction in income, or you lose a job, and you only have $1,000 in emergency fund? I think all of you know you can't go back to the student loan company, you can't go back to the equipment company, the practice loan company and say, oops, I sent you too much. Send some of that back to me, please. It just doesn't work that way. Our belief is you need a cash cushion to fall back on. So even if it takes you 3-4 months or longer to pay off debts, if you've got a cushion in case something like that happens to fall back on, I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to put your head down on the pillow at night and sleep pretty good because you know you're not going to be in trouble if something bad happens. We stress this every time we're on. Remember, once you send money to the banks, credit card companies, car financing, student loans, or equipment, you can never get it back. You can't call them and say, whoops, I sent you extra payments, give it back. You never, ever can get it back. It's really important to have a cash cushion. Any good system needs to have backup position, including flexibility, options, choices in case you hit a rough bump in a financial road. And Greg and I have been doing this a long time, and even the most successful people will hit a tough financial bump in the road at periods of time. And they want to have. And we've had a number of our dentists that have gone through collection problems. They've gone through weather problems. They've gone through equipment breakdowns. They had to buy new equipment when they weren't ready to. It will happen. The other thing that Dave believes in is the snowball approach. If any of you have heard Greg and I before, we're huge believers in the snowball approach. But we believe it is a must to have that in an efficient debt management plan. We have it in almost every one of our plans for the dentists. The difference is when you continue to pay your old payment and you snowball it once loans have been paid off. In ours, you're snowballing it back into your plan. If you remember, CAP plans calls for, it stands for capitalization plan using specially designed cash values and policies. The primary difference right there on a STARM is that money's available again. It's not gone forever. So if you just think, if I'm paying the same amount of money, in one scenario, when I pay it, if I run into a problem, the money's gone, I can't get to it. The other situation, I'm paying the same amount of money, and if I need it back, I can get to it. You tell me which one of those you think would be better position to be in. It's a huge, huge difference. And it could be even more magnifying depending on how bad a problem that you run into. Another one of Dave's strategies is you attack debt first before making any retirement payments, plan deposits, or investing any other money. Very much like Dr. Ace, this thought pattern we'll talk about here. So we just don't believe the one size fits all is perfect. If you want to get out of debt faster, I can agree, and Greg and I have talked about this with a lot of our dentists. If you really want to get out of debt faster, not starting retirement plan deposits can work for you. But I tell all our dentists that all the time, you can make decisions on a financial basis or a psychological basis. And the psychological basis is far more important of the two. Does that mean you should always start putting money in the retirement plan because someone told you or you read it someplace? Not necessarily. That's back to the why. Why you don't want to get out of debt. If that why is strong enough, then we want to help you get out of debt as quickly as you can and as quickly as we can help you. Dave has done a great job of helping a lot of Americans address their debt problem. But as I've said a number of times, his one-size-fits-all approach isn't what our dentists need. You want, and more importantly, you deserve a personalized plan for your financial situation. And everybody's different. That's one of the reasons Greg and I have been doing this a long time. It's one of the reasons we love getting up every day and going to work for you guys, because everybody's situation is different. It's a creative, fun job for us because we're not doing the exact same thing every day. Now, it takes tough decisions and discipline to get yourself out of debt. It's not easy. It's not for the meek, as the saying goes. The question is, are you ready? Or when are you ready? Because you've got to make a decision on that why is important for me, or you won't do it. We can help, but we can't force you to do something you're not ready to. So we're here to help you with the process. Remember, we have a free 30 minutes consultation that's available for being a part of tonight. Call us, email us. We'd love to set up time and talk to you about your plan and help you develop the right kind of why. Okay, now let's look at Dr. Orrig. I ran across some of his information about 30 days ago, and I was really intrigued in watching the videos and kind of seeing what he had to say. He actually has his own system that he works with dentists on, wealth and personal freedom. He is very straightforward, just like Dave is. He talks about not funding any retirements until your debt is paid off. He said, live like a student until all your student loans are paid off. I think that's really tough to do. I mean, we believe you need to have a plan, a discipline on it. But we don't think it's fair to still live like you don't have any money when you sacrifice to get through regular college, dental school, and now you're out and about. You should be able to enjoy some of that, but you still have to concentrate on that debt. I'm beating the dead horse here. Money's gone forever unless you use the right snowball plan. We call ours Snowball Plus. The Snowball Plus is just very simply, you have access to the payments again. So you can snowball, and it's not a bad way. But any curveballs that come at you from a financial standpoint, the Snowball Plus will be a lot more effective for you. Albert Einstein once said, he who understands interest earns it, he who doesn't pays it. If you think today where you are, and then you fast forward yourself 10, 15, 20 years and think of how many x-ray machines you're going to have to buy, how many CAT scan machines you're going to buy, how much real estate are you going to buy, how much interest are you going to pay? Well, let's make it where you earn the interest. That's what your CAP plan does. That's what the Snowball Plus does, is allow you to take advantage of what Einstein was talking about. So the question is do you want to be a snowballer or a snowball pluser? One creates you money. The other one helps you get out of debt, but you don't have any money. You just kind of cross your fingers and hope there's no problems. Earl Nightingale. All you need is the plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination. Courage. You've heard me say many, many times, it's discipline to get out of debt. Discipline and courage, very similar. You need both of them. One of the things that we provide that's different than the three people we're talking about tonight, we provide the motivation to stick to the plan. You know, We're national from the extent we have dentist clients all over the country, but yet we're personal. The other guys are more national stuff. You're going to see it, read it, but they're not designing a personalized plan for you. When it's not a personalized plan for you, it's much harder to stick with it. You know, we're very personal and involved, you know, on a monthly basis with all our clients. Another thing that ACE talks about is maybe you should stay away from advisors because of the fees or commissions. But then he turns around and talks about having a coach to help you in your practice and life. Some of you probably already have a coach that's out there. Does the coach charge you money? Is that a fee? I would say it probably is. Coaches can make a huge difference. You know, if you watched any of the golf tournament, the PGA Championship was on this last Sunday where Bruce Koepka won. His coach was there with him. He was there all week. He's paying his coach a lot of money. People pay money for coaches because they help make a difference in helping you set up your debt management plan. But more important, they can help you stay the course. We get calls almost daily from our dentists around the country saying, well, what about this? I read this. How's that different from what I'm doing? And so we're constantly striving to help everybody stay on their plan. So what we really do is we apply for the quarterbacking job. And from a coaching perspective, those of who you have heard me talk or read the book, all a quarterback really does is he controls what's going on. He understands everything. Most of the time, when we talk about planners, most planners help you make microeconomic decisions. What that means is they're only looking at one piece at a time in your financial life. We help you make macroeconomic decisions. That encompasses all the facets of your life. As it says there, we don't need to handle them all, but we need to know them all. That's why we don't come in and say, hey, it's mandatory you give us all your investments, you give us all your insurance. No, we need to know what you're doing there, though, to make sure that they all work together. The problem and why microeconomics is so prevalent is advisors only focus in one area. As an example, if you're talking to a life insurance agent, what do they want you to buy? They want you to buy life insurance. Do they care what you're putting in your 401k? Do they care about your debt? No, not that they don't care about you, but their job is to help you have the proper amount of life insurance. What's the real estate agent care about? Does he care how you've got your legal done or how your accounting is working or what your 401k plan is doing? No. The advisors are only concerned about their specialty, whereas the quarterback coach for you, we're concerned about how it all integrates and works together. So we want to be the quarterback, and we want to help you in all those areas. And as a result, what that does money-wise, it creates you more wealth because you've got a consolidated plan. Okay, Dr. Ace works with John Commuta, and it's a very interesting strategy. First, early in Dr. Ace's video and his papers, he says there are a number of different things that you should never buy. First thing, not the first thing, but one in his list is never buy a whole life policy. And we'll talk in more detail a little bit about that. But what happens is later in this strategy, he and John Commuta work together and they talk about an intricate piece, quote, of the overall strategy is to set up a private family bank. Some of you guys know us. One of the things we talk about is setting up the family bank. It's an important piece as a control spot for money. The private bank, family bank that they're talking about, is the exact same thing as our cap plans. It's a specially designed whole life policy. Now, it's a little hard for me to kind of understand why in one segment Dr. Ace is talking about never buy whole life, and in another segment he's talking about it being an intricate piece of an overall strategy. I think I know why. Most of you wouldn't, but the reason why is the first he's talking about, a whole life policy, is designed on a traditional basis. meaning it's not designed to build high early cash value that you can use for debt reasons. It's designed to maximize the death benefit with a premium. When you get to the private family bank or the cap plans, it's designed with the least amount of death benefit the IRS allows you to have, which creates the most amount of cash value. Well, our belief is that's a cornerstone of when you get started, because we want to drive money that you can use, see in the bank, to pay off debts, not wait till they're all paid off and then start later. You're missing years of being able to have the planning work for you. So all three of us, Ace, John Commuta, and Greg and I, believe that there are definitely characteristics of this tool that are very important to any good plan. So let's look at them. I already said it, cornerstone. It has guarantees. There aren't a lot of things in our lives today financially that have guarantees. They are important. Protection. It provides to pay off banks while you still have bank loans out there. It provides for families. Access to cash value to pay loans off. Repay them, you can use the money again. So our snowballing plus comes back and looks at us again. So we have access to use the money again. Those characteristics are critical to building a solid plan and creating money that is going to be able to be used over and over and over again. I was working with an accountant today, and we looked at it in the projections of what they were looking at in equipment, practice expenses, and things this dentist was going to pay. By using this strategy, he paid all of those expenses, was able to buy all the projected equipment he was going to need, and by the time he was ready to retire, he had all the money back in his cash values to the tune of $2 million. $2 million that's available to produce tax-free income. So a lot of people go, well, geez, you don't want us to put as much money in retirement plans. What are we going to have for retirement? Right there, you get $2 million in retirement, and it's the same money that we use to pay for the equipment. Okay, so you can see there's different ways to attack your debt. All three advisors have ways to help. As I said earlier, though, they are not personalized or flexible. If there's one thing Greg and I have found through the years working with dentists, you need flexibility. Why? Staff changes, patient changes, collections changes, expenses going up. It's not like you know exactly what's coming in the front door every week and every week after week. There's going to be changes, and you need to be flexible. And to be flexible, you have to have a personalized plan, not a one-size-fits-all plan. Another way to think about it is when you're dealing with national folks, it's a little bit like a golfer. If Brooks Koepka walks off and has a bad week instead of winning the PGA, does he go home and pull out Golf Magazine and read all the articles that are in there? No, he's on the phone with the coach. He's meeting with the coach the next day, going back to the range to figure out what's going on. The national people that talk about debt management have a shotgun approach. It's the same approach for everybody. We believe the rifle approach makes more sense because it's personal and it's specified to your own situation. You deserve to have a personalized plan, and that's what we provide, for you. Deserve and need a personal plan. We're available, but it isn't like we have all the time in the world. Greg and I were just talking before you all got on that what we've got, and we can only handle about 5 to 7 new dentists a month because of all the personal attention that we do. So we have to turn some away. It's not that we can't work them at some point in time, but it might be a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months out, because we're getting more busy and more busy as more of these live webinars are starting to take place. More people have read the books, and they're reaching out to us, or their friends have started the plans, and they understand how much better their practices are. So I'm not saying we can't work with you, but don't wait too long, because we're getting more busy, and because we believe in the personalized approach and not the one-size-fits-all, we just can't work with lots and lots of people. We talked about it. You got your free personalized meeting for being on here tonight. Take advantage of it. what's better than looking and working with people that work on a national basis with dentists that are just starting out to dentists that are getting ready to retire? We've got all kinds of experience, and you can rely on and get that information from us without spending a dime. It doesn't cost anything. We're not charging you fees, for this. So remember, you owe it not to the bank. You owe it to your family and your practice to have things set up the way they should be. I think you would agree. The banks are going to win with everybody else. They don't need to win on you. You need to win. And again, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you owe it to your practice to be able to do it properly. And you, for all the hard work and time and effort you put in to become a dentist, you deserve to be able to make a lot of money, do it in an efficient manner, and enjoy life. And there's a lot of dentists out there that we talk to that are in their 50s that aren't. They just feel like it's a slave. They're going in. They can't do anything about it because of all that debt. Well, we're right about the end of the time tonight, so we'd like to thank you for your time, as always. And I can't say it enough. It's a free 30-minute meeting. Just call us, email us, and we'd be happy to sit down and give you a lot of help with it. There's the contact information for either Greg or myself, the emails or, phones. So feel free to give us a call. And Greg's kind of let me know that there's a few questions out there tonight. So Greg, why don't you shoot me the first question, and let's see what we can come up with to help answer it. Put my glasses on in case I need to read it.
Well, Rich, the first question came in. Why do these national debt advisors have such strict guidelines?
That's a great question. And, I always wondered that even before I saw the stuff Dave Ramsey was doing and Dr. Ace were doing. And what I finally figured out is it's because they are national. They don't personally help everybody. What they do is they have a group of other people that they employ that work with people. And for them to be successful, they can't personalize it. They have to have a one-size-fits-all because they can't train everybody to understand the way we do and be able to be flexible and have options and choices for our dentists. So it's a one-size-fits-all. They have to be that way, and we just don't believe that makes sense. So what else we got, Greg? We got time for a couple more.
Well, another doctor asked, I've heard of snowballing debt for a long time. Isn't it all the same?
Yeah. Well, they probably asked that question early on tonight because I think I beat it up pretty good. But you would think snowballing is snowballing. But I think after you've heard my explanation a couple times, they're snowballing, which again, for those that maybe got on late, snowballing is very simple. If you pay off a debt that's $500 a month, the very next month you allocate that same $500 before you start spending it on something to paying down another debt. The disadvantage, the way the national people talk about it, a lot of bankers talk about it, is that those dollars are gone forever. They go to the bank and the bank says, thank you very much, but you don't have access to them. I had one dentist the other day said, hey, I just dropped $100,000 to pay down the loan. And I asked him a question. I said, well, could you call the bank and just borrow another $100,000 from it? He kind of laughed. He goes, well, no, I couldn't do that. I'd have to qualify again. Well, our Snowball Plus is just the opposite. If he dropped $100,000 back against any debts that he has back in his policy, if he called Greg or I a week later or 2 weeks later and said, hey, I had something come up, can I get that $100,000 back? The answer is, of course. We can process it. They'd have it in 2 or 3 days to do whatever they wanted to do. So there's a huge difference between traditional snowballing and our Snowball Plus thing. Okay, Greg, what else you got?
Why would Dr. Ace say not to buy whole life and then turn around and say private family bank is so important?
That's a good one. I was a little perplexed, as I said, when I was kind of going through this, that of why and how he would, talk about that. I think number one, it's kind of commonplace out there when people don't understand whole life and they see one phase of it, that they think it's not a good utilization of the money. So it gets lumped in with a lot of things like, I would never do this. He's saying never put money into a retirement plan, especially while you're still in debt. Only have $1,000, sitting around. I think there's a lot of things that are said for maybe more show. And then as he came back for the private family bank, a whole life policy is a whole life policy, but you can sure make it look and work totally different, just like snowballing to snowballing, except the snowball plus is totally different. So our cap plan cash values and the private family banks are one and the same, and they are totally different. And I think it's a timing issue the way he looks at it, and there's a way for them to make more money when they set these plans up later. We just strongly believe they need to be set up first, not at the end. Greg, got time for one more.
Well, why is the quarterback role any different than any other advisor?
Well, this one must have come in kind of early also. So sorry to rehash it, but the quarterback role is extremely important in our opinion. And the reason being is you don't have anybody looking at everything you're doing. You have microeconomic advisors that are doing the best job they possibly can in their area of specialty, but they're not trained, nor, I don't want to say they don't care, but that's not what they're there for. They're there to help you in one specific area. Or the quarterback, particularly if the quarterback doesn't have to handle all of your investments, all of your insurance, all of anything else, you get an overseer of looking at everything, and it's so beneficial compared to microeconomics of advisors just looking at one thing. So quarterback job is really, really important. Hey, Greg, I think we're about out of time tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We're going to have a really, really interesting, that's going to show you a lot of real numbers in the June live webinar. So we'll go ahead and get that out to you in a few weeks so you can get registered for it. Thanks again for spending the time with us tonight, and we'll talk with you next time. Thanks a lot. Have a good evening. Thanks, Greg. Talk to you next time.